The R-rated category offers a more mature and dark take on the superhero concept, often including violence, a little blood here and there, and maybe some limbs getting chopped off, and dark humor that wouldn't fly in a network broadcast. For people who don't want to watch feel-good superhero content, then R-rated superhero TV shows are the perfect place to start. Here's a list of the 15 greatest R-rated superhero TV shows of all time. Before we get into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The Boys 2019. I'm more than sure you've seen the massive pile of memes this series has given birth to. The Boys is this wild superhero show on Amazon Prime that flips the script on the whole genre. Forget the usual squeaky clean heroes and colorful spandex. Here, superheroes, or supes as they're called, are basically messed up celebrities with superpowers on a corporate leash. They answer to a giant corporation called Vought that markets and milks them for all they're worth. Enter the Boys, a group of regular people who've had enough of the soup's shenanigans. Led by the tough Billy Butcher, they're basically an anti-superhero squad on a mission to expose the truth about these corrupt heroes and the corporation that shields them. The show isn't afraid to get dark. It throws down violence, dark humor, and themes that'll make you think. The acting is phenomenal, especially by Anthony Starr, who plays Homelander, the soup's leader. Imagine Captain America gone rogue, super powerful but with a screw loose in his head. There's also Starlight, a young and idealistic soup who quickly realizes the superhero world isn't all sunshine and rainbows. The Boys calls out the dangers of superhero worship getting out of control, and the terrifying consequences of unchecked power. The show has a devoted fan base, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. New seasons keep expanding the world and raising the stakes for the characters. If you dig complex characters, stories that challenge your views, and a superhero throwdown with a hefty dose of social commentary, then The Boys is the right pick for you. Invincible 2021. On to the next one. Just like The Boys, this superhero show is not all sunshine and rainbows. Invincible, available on Amazon Prime, has been quite popular since its release. And why shouldn't it be? The Walking Dead creator Robert Kirkman is the man behind this series. Mark Grayson is your typical teen, except his dad is Omni-Man, the strongest superhero ever. Mark gets powers too, becomes invincible, and joins the whole hero thing. But things get messy fast. Turns out, Dad's not exactly a good guy, and the superhero world is way more messed up than anyone thought. The fights are brutal, showing the true cost of all that punching. There are tough choices, messed up villains with reasons for being bad, and even the good guys have to deal with fame and fortune. The animation is awesome, like a comic book coming to life. The characters are voiced by a killer cast, including Steven Yeun from The Walking Dead and Sandra Oh. And who voices Omni-Man? J.K. Simmons. So that's where Omni-Man gets his killer mustache, huh? With 2 seasons out and more on the way, Invincible is a must-watch for anyone who wants a superhero show that's more than just tights and lasers. Peacemaker 2022. Please, no more you can't see him jokes, because you should totally check out John Cena in this series. Remember that crazy movie Suicide Squad by James Gunn? Well, Peacemaker is a whole new story spinning off of it. John Cena suits up as Peacemaker, a super skilled assassin who's got a one-track mind for peace, even if it means leaving a body count in his wake. We jump right in with Peacemaker all stitched up in the aftermath, trying to get his life together, but it ain't easy. Turns out Peacemaker has a lot of baggage, especially with his dad. Let's just say the old man isn't exactly father of the year. Peacemaker wrestles with what it truly means to be a good guy. But Peacemaker isn't flying solo. The show's got a killer supporting cast. There's Leota, Vigilante, who lives up to his name in hilarious ways, and Emilia. Each of them has their own journey, their own demons to face. And let's not forget the wild visuals. The show explodes with epic action sequences that are pure James Gunn, and cranks up a killer soundtrack that screams old school rock. It's funny, it's emotional, it'll have you questioning what it means to wear the cape, or a funny looking helmet. I gotta say, John Cena is doing really well outside the WWE. The Punisher 2017-19. This show ran for a couple of seasons, and followed an ex-Marine named Frank Castle, who goes full vigilante after his family gets whacked. Frank's not your typical hero. Dude's messed up, filled with rage, and gets revenge in his own way, which is very violent. John Bernthal, one of the OGs of The Walking Dead, totally nails Frank's complex personality. The show also has a killer supporting cast that helps flesh out the story. But it's not just all action. The Punisher tries to make you think about some heavy stuff like grief and the whole revenge spiral. It doesn't sugarcoat the violence, and it makes you think about who the real bad guys are. Visually, it's dark and gritty, matching Frank's mood. The fight scenes are brutal and intense, showing the weight of his anger. It's not for everyone, but fans love this edgy take on a superhero. Reviews were mixed, but people love the characters and the action. It even got an Emmy nod for its special effects. Though it got cancelled, The Punisher left its mark. Daredevil 2015-18. This dark Netflix series ran from 2015 to 2018, totally changing the game with its realistic fights and characters you could actually care about. The story follows Matt Murdock, a blind lawyer by day who moonlights as a butt-kicking vigilante at night. Spoiler alert, I popped so loud when I saw him in Spider-Man No Way Home. Blinded as a kid, Matt's other senses are off the charts, letting him see the world in a whole new way. Daredevil was the first of a bunch of Marvel shows on Netflix, and it set the tone for all of them. Dark, grown-up stuff. Charlie Cox plays Matt, and he absolutely nails the whole hero by day, tortured soul by night persona. Vincent D'Onofrio is the bad guy, Wilson Fisk, and he's both scary and kinda sad, which makes him way more interesting. The whole show wrestles with big questions. Can the justice system actually work? And is punching a bunch of bad guys ever really the answer? It's not all fighting though. Daredevil looks amazing, with dark, moody visuals that match the story perfectly. Plus, the fight scenes are brutal and realistic. You can feel every punch. Critics loved it, and fans went crazy for it. It even got nominated for a bunch of awards. And for those who didn't know, the show is going to be reprised again as Daredevil Reborn. Watchmen 2019. This HBO show takes you to Tulsa, Oklahoma, where things are different. Remember all those celebrated superheroes? Now they're outlaws thanks to all the violence. The show kicks off with a brutal scene straight out of history, the Tulsa Race Massacre. It sets the tone for a story that dives deep into America's struggles with race. Meet Angela Abar, a detective who moonlights as a vigilante named Sister Night. Think nun's habit means balaclava. That's her vibe. She's tough, but she's also a mom and a wife who just wants justice. When her police chief friend gets murdered, Angela gets tangled up in a crazy conspiracy involving white supremacists and a dead vigilante. Buckle up, it's a wild ride. Set in Tulsa, Oklahoma, it flips the script on superheroes. Here, they're outlaws, thanks to their violent past. Regina King stars as Angela Abar, a tough detective by day and a butt-kicking vigilante by night. She's investigating a murder that leads her down a rabbit hole of racism, secret societies, and maybe even a giant blue god-man. Hello, Dr. Manhattan. The story toys with flashbacks and keeps you guessing. There's a great cast too, with familiar faces like Jeremy Irons and Gene Smart. This show isn't afraid to get real about America's history, especially race issues. It also makes you think about why people wear masks, not just for Halloween. Superheroes? More like super messed up. It's a one-season wonder, a complete story the creator wanted to tell. Packed with hidden clues for comic book fans, but still cool for newbies. Watchmen is a mind-bender of a show that'll stay with you long after the credits roll. Spawn, TV series 1997 to 99. Spawn is an edgy animated series from the 90s that aired on HBO. Based on a comic book, the main character of Spawn is Al Simmons. Once a respected soldier, Al became a government assassin working on secret missions, but his life takes a tragic turn when his close friend betrays and kills him. Sent to hell for his violent past, Al is desperate to see his wife Wanda again. He makes a pact with a demonic entity, Malabolgia, to return to Earth. However, the deal comes at a horrifying cost. Al is resurrected, but not as his old self. He's transformed into a disfigured, monstrous creature with a strange living cape. Now known as Spawn, Al grapples with his grotesque new form and the immense powers it possesses. As he tries to find his place in this world, Spawn is hit with another blow. Wanda has moved on, marrying his best friend and starting a family. Struggling with his identity, his newfound abilities, and the harsh reality of his situation, Spawn is just a pawn for a much larger game, between heavenly and hellish forces.
And go, and do not look back.
Castlevania 2017 to 21. On to the next one. The story kicks off with a bang. Dracula's wife gets wrongly accused of witchcraft and is burned to a crisp. Furious, Dracula unleashes a demon army on humanity. Not cool, dude. Now comes Trevor Belmont, the last monster hunter in his family. He's more of a live to fight another day kind of guy, but with the world on the brink, he steps up. Along the way, he teams up with a badass sorceress named Sypha, and Alucard, Dracula's half-human son, who isn't exactly on board with his dad's plan. There are funny moments, especially between the main three characters, who end up becoming a pretty awesome team. The animation is killer, with influences from Japanese anime and a dark gothic style that captures the feel of the games perfectly. The voice acting is top-notch too, bringing the characters to life. Over 4 seasons, Castlevania explores power and revenge, and what it means to be human. It stays true to the video games, especially Castlevania 3 and Curse of Darkness, but also forges its own path. The end is satisfying, but leaves room for more stories in this monster-filled world. Doom Patrol, 2019 to present. Imagine superheroes who are totally messed up, like they have major baggage from their past. That's Doom Patrol, a weird and wacky show on DC Comics superheroes, especially inspired by the comics by Grant Morrison. These heroes are traumatized, scarred, and kind of social outcasts. They all got their powers from messed up accidents. We've got Crazy Jane with her multiple personalities, each with a superpower, Elastawoman who can't control her stretchy body, Negative Man with a negative energy buddy living inside him, Robot Man whose brain is in a robot body, and Cyborg who's more machine than man. The show explores how they deal with all this craziness, finding a purpose even though they're broken. They're all brought together by a mad scientist named the Chief, who gives them a home and a reason to fight bad guys. Doom Patrol isn't afraid to get weird. The characters are what really make the show. They each have a deep story, and you actually start to care about them, even though they're kind of nuts. Plus, the special effects and makeup are killer, bringing their powers in the whole strange world to life. Doom Patrol is different because it shows superheroes who aren't perfect. It tackles real-life issues, like mental health and disability in a thoughtful way. Lasting 4 seasons, it's great for binge-watching. Titans, TV series 2018 to 23. Now, this is a darker version of Teen Titans. Here, the heroes are young adults, not teens, and they're all messed up in their own way. We follow Dick Grayson, once Robin, Batman's sidekick, who's trying to be his own hero called Nightwing. Enter Rachel, a teenager with mysterious powers, and Corey, a woman with amnesia who can shoot lasers from her hands. Then there's Gar, a cheerful guy who can turn into animals. Together, they become a team. Titans is packed with action, but it also takes time to develop the characters, making you care about them. They even bring in other DC heroes like Jason Todd and Donna Troy, making the superhero world even bigger. Overall, Titans is a superhero show for grown-ups. It's dark, thought-provoking, and leaves you wanting more. Even though the series has concluded, it's a nice addition to the superhero world. Marvel's Jessica Jones, 2015 to 2019. Wow, Jane Margolis has come quite a long way after her tweaking days on Breaking Bad. This Netflix show from 2015 to 2019 is part of the Marvel world. Kristen Ritter plays Jessica, a superhero who gave it all up after a terrible experience. Now, she's a private investigator in New York City, taking on cases that involve people with weird powers. Jessica struggles with PTSD from her past, and her main villain, Kilgrave, is really creepy. He can control people's minds. Their dynamic is intense, showing the dark side of being a hero. Jessica's not perfect, but that's what makes her real. She's surrounded by other strong women like her sister Trish. This show got great reviews for its writing, acting, and directing, and won a bunch of awards. If you haven't checked it out yet, then you totally should. Preacher, 2016 to 2019. Buckle up, because Preacher is a genre-bending roller coaster of a show. It's a dark comedy mixed with a dramatic road trip, all splashed with a healthy dose of supernatural and a dash of Southern Gothic weirdness. This AMC series, based on comics by Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon, follows Jesse Custer, a troubled preacher from Texas with a shady past. After a bizarre encounter at his church, Jesse gets hit with a strange power. He can literally make anyone obey his commands. Talk about an awkward upgrade for a man questioning his faith. Jesse decides to hit the road with his fiery ex-girlfriend Tulip and a hard-living Irish vampire named Cassidy. Their mission? Find God himself and get some answers. Along the way, they encounter a wacky cast of characters, from a guy with a face for a butt, seriously, to otherworldly beings. It's a hilarious and shocking adventure that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Preacher ran for 4 seasons and takes some creative liberties with the source material, but stays true to the spirit of the comics. The strong performances, especially by Dominic Cooper and Ruth Negga, and the show's dark comedic tone are what make it truly stand out. Harley Quinn, 2019. Harley Quinn, the Joker's girlfriend from Batman, finally ditches that jerk. This hilarious animated show, Harley Quinn, started in 2019, and it's like a grown-up cartoon. Harley Quinn decides to become her own supervillain boss and forms a crew with her best friend Poison Ivy, whom she starts dating. Clayface, a shape-shifting actor, King Shark, a surprisingly tech-savvy shark, and a bunch of other weirdos. Harley and Poison Ivy's relationship is a big part of the show, and it's cool to see a lesbian couple on TV. The other characters are funny too, like the down-on-his-luck villain Dr. Psycho. This show finally gives Harley Quinn the spotlight she deserves. It's about her becoming her own person, figuring out who she is and kicking butt while doing it. There are tons of other DC characters who make appearances, but they get a hilarious makeover. It's like seeing your favorite superheroes in a whole new light. The Guardians of Justice 2022. This Netflix show, The Guardians of Justice, is a wild superhero satire that premiered in 2022. It mixes live action with cartoons, kind of like Roger Rabbit, but way more messed up. The story takes place in a world where a powerful alien superhero keeps everything peaceful. But then wham, he kills himself on live TV. This throws everything into chaos, and there's a good chance of nuclear war. Yikes. Nighthawk, a grumpy old superhero played by wrestler Diamond Dallas Page, starts to suspect something fishy is going on. He teams up with The Speed, a younger, more idealistic hero, to investigate. The Guardians of Justice, the superhero team, are all messed up in their own ways, but they have to deal with their pasts, fight bad guys, and maybe even each other. It's dark and funny, kind of like Deadpool, but with a lower budget. The show isn't perfect, but it's definitely creative. It mixes real-life settings with comic book animation, and honestly, it should be done more often. Take notes, other shows. Jupiter's Legacy 2021. Time for some superhero family drama with a twist. The show follows generations of superheroes, starting with Sheldon Sampson, who becomes the Utopian. He forms a superhero team called the Union of Justice and sets some strict rules. No killing and no meddling in politics. These principles guide him for almost a century of fighting bad guys. Here's the catch. Sheldon's kids, Brandon and Chloe, struggle to live up to his squeaky clean image. Brandon tries to follow in his father's footsteps, but ends up making a controversial choice that sparks a heated debate. Chloe ditches the superhero life altogether. Are the old school ideals still relevant in a world that's totally different from when they were created? The story is put together over time, with flashbacks that fill you in on the characters' backstories. Although it only lasted one season, it spawned a spin-off about supervillains in the same world. Do check it out! Marvelous Verdict. Wow, that's a lot of superhero drama for one day. In my opinion, The Boys and Invincible are the only two shows right now carrying the R-rated superhero genre. If I were you, I'd start binge watching all the shows one by one right away. Are there any more R-rated superhero shows that we missed? Tell us in the comments. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.